Picklock. My love for Thief Simulator is well documented. It was on my top 10 best and worst list of the games I reviewed last year. Best because the game is very fun to play. Worst because it has issues with crashing. A lot. Also, the gameplay feels like it would have been easier with a mouse. Actually, I think this game suffers from that as well. The title is clearly made for a computer mouse, and the pinpointing on what you want to click on when you need to. However, with a lot of practice, you can overcome this issue. What I couldn't overcome is the camera controls. Those sort of things turn a good game into a kind of a bad one with that alone. I never found a good angle to do any of the missions, only ones that kind of worked. But often you couldn't see if doors were open, or if you had clicked on something. The camera was 100% controlled by you, and every way you try and turn it, something would be in your way, or you would lose track of your character completely. You could zoom in and rotate the camera to your liking, but every angle sucked. I don't know if they were trying to replicate being a thief and not knowing where everything and everyone was around you by having bad camera controls. Okay, maybe I'm just kind of stretching there and giving the creator too much credit. Speaking of which, this was sent to me by the publisher. So like always, I want to disclose that. However, to be fair, this was already on my list of things to buy for a review. So it kind of worked out. I was going to do it anyway because I love playing as a thief. Now the story is about a guy who tries to go legit, but life beats him down. So he decides he needs to steal a lot of money so he can retire. And this is your quest to do that. Now, the camera aside, I actually enjoyed the gameplay. You can see the patterns of the guards and the time they spent in areas. Also where the cameras would see you, as well as the cone of vision of the guards. This was a strategy game, as knowing where to progress in the places that you were going was critical. There were often certain steps you needed to follow, and things you needed to set up before you could finish. Unfortunately, this game is not that long, so I'm not going to be able to show you too many levels. Now, it is a very linear game, and while the goal to actually finish the level does feel kind of open, only the most minor things you could do anytime you want. When it came to unlocking doors or accessing areas, you usually only had one time you could do it. Now, this really isn't an easy game. To get everything, you're going to really need to plan your route. There's just some stuff that you're going to need to wait until last because it'll alert one of the guards. They won't notice the security system turned off, but they will notice broken doors and other unusual things that might happen. They do make it easier to find everything. By pressing the Y button, a drone will show you the layout of the guards, security cameras, and items to find. How it can see through a building, I have no idea. You're going to need to find every object in the level that you can steal in order to progress. Or at least I think you do. It did give me stars when I partially finished it, but it didn't advance the plot unless I found everything. So I think you need to find everything. You have to click on some of the objects to break them open or have them do something. However, there is a notable pause between when you do something and when it happens. Oftentimes I would click it again, thinking it didn't register my action, but then it just canceled the action that I wanted to do. And when you're playing a game with really tight sequences and guard rotation, this could actually be a real problem. But it's one of those things you do get used to. Now, I do want to say I reached out to the publisher and told them my concerns about the camera and the problems with the delaying of when we click on something. They said that they're actually working on it, so we'll see if there's a patch in the future that fixes this issue. Picklock is a good game with an awful camera. I like the visual style and the variety of the level designs, size, and the approach of the places that we were robbing made it unique every time. However, it's hard to get past the terrible camera controls and the delayed actions when you're clicking on something. As the game progresses, I did get better at controlling it, but it was always an issue. This is normally $7.99. Whenever I get games from people like this, I never look to see how much it is ahead of time. And I kind of have a number in my head. And the number they were charging was exactly what I thought. So I do think it's worth a buy. If the camera was better, I would have added a few more dollars in my estimation. If you enjoy the strategy involved in being a thief and trying to sneak your way through a property, while this isn't a very long game, it is worth a buy as long as you don't mind the bad camera.